Hi, everybody. DJ Yoakley here with a very special guest. The news is not very good across Little League today. I'm joined by Dr. Chet Cooper, the director of District 2 here in the Valley. Dr. Cooper, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, DJ. It's great to see you again. I'd rather see you in person, but this will have to do for the time being.
Well, not even my wife says that, so I can't say that I believe you. So, Chet, I mean, we go back a ways. I mean, talk to me about Little League and how tough this is for everybody in the area, everybody in Little League to have to come out today and say that the Little League World Series is canceled.
Well, first of all, I think to some extent the leagues are kind of relieved in a sense, in a bizarre sort of sense, because all the vagary, all the unknown is now gone. We know. And first of all, you have to give a lot of credit to Steve Keener, uh, who runs Little League Baseball International, and that's a tough decision, but it's the right decision, because the last thing we want to do is put in jeopardy our youth out there. And I think people in general should take a cue from this, that, this is a real serious problem. But back to your original question, the local leagues, as I said, kind of relieved, but now they're thinking, what are we doing next? And actually, I have a video call scheduled uh, over the weekend, and we'll try to come up with some ideas. And what I'm hoping for is that some things will die down a little bit, and maybe we can have a short season. Or what I'm going to propose to the league presidents is that we have sort of a end of summer into fall season, and see what happens. We're not, it's just to get the kids to play. Okay, I'm pretty sure that even the state tournaments are done for this year. I've already had communications from my other colleagues across the state, and the sense is that people just won't travel in the summer because of all this. And so we'll see. That hasn't been truly decided yet, but we'll see where we wind up with that.
That was actually going to be my next question, because Little League canceled the World Series. That didn't necessarily mean that the state tournaments would be nixed. Do you feel strongly that it's probably going to be a no-go for the state tourneys?
Well, I think in a sense, yes, but I think there might be some hope where other districts just want to play.
Okay.
And so sort of be like, a rivalry kind of competition. So we'll see what happens, because I know there are some teams out there that want to play. And play, by the way, if you were listening to Steve Keener's video, it's up to the local authorities to say if it's clear for youth sports to continue. So that's one thing we have to investigate to make sure, because I've heard through the grapevine that the city of North Canton told North Canton Little League they're done. They're not going to be allowed to play. The city's not going to allow them to play.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and then on top of that, a lot of leagues play on school property, and schools are, I guess, now closed through June, and that presents another problem. So, so we're just going to have to move forward and see what we can do.
From that standpoint, though, I mean, even if you were to have state tournaments, would Little League sanction those tournaments? Would they back these, or would this be independent?
No, it'd still be Little League sanctioned. Okay. It's just there's a lot of questions you got to ask. Okay, but there's liability. That's my big question right now, is liability.
Chet, what do you think? I mean, we talked about the kind of country impact and the global impact of the Little League World Series canceling. What do you see as the impact here in the Valley?
Well, there's going to be a lot of disappointed kids. Okay, that's the first. And some leagues, I've already know 3 or 4 of the local leagues already canceled their season. But what I'm going to try to do is get them to at least consider playing somehow. Now, what we can do for kids, even if the local league is still not going to run their own program, we're going to be given a lot of flexibility from Little League to get these kids from other leagues to cross boundaries and play in other local leagues just for this season.
Yeah.
It's to get the kids to play. It has, it's not truly about working your way to Williamsport because you can't get there anyway this year, right?
Right.
So we want to get the kids to play, and we want them to really see the value of Little League. And but the other thing is the impact of Valley. We had some competitive teams. Okay, we had some real competitive teams. We had the 11U team from Boardman that won big last year, and there was big hopes for them this year. There's another thing that people hadn't thought about, and they came up later this afternoon, was what do you do about the people who have been rewarded with assignments as umpires to the World Series? So it appears now, and this is important for our local league because Rich Randall was selected to work the Junior League Softball World Series this year.
Wow.
And so we're really proud of Rich.
Yeah.
And we were going to do some big things, but then all of a sudden everything got stalled, right? So
that's a good word for it.
yeah. So it looks like Little League's making the decision that whoever was selected to work a World Series this year will be allowed to work it next year instead.
Just kind of move it forward.
Just move it forward, which, I'm really pleased to hear that because, Rich, and Rich he's aces. He's top notch and well deserving of this honor. And so looking forward to seeing him there. But it's also sad to see that some of our kids who are going to be 12-year-olds this year, not going to get that shot at another state championship and a regional appearance and maybe beyond. But I hate to say it, that's part of life. There's disappointment in life, and I'm not belittling it. Okay, I feel really bad for these kids, but that's what happens. Sometimes life, just hurts, and you just got to learn to overcome that.
I hear you. I mean, you talked about those boundaries that are typically closed. What kind of interesting combinations does that kind of open the doors for here in the Valley? I mean, usually you see how good a Poland team, a Boardman team, a Canfield team, an Austintown team is. I mean, is there opportunity for a little bit of and what does that do for All-Stars, I guess, if there even wasn't All-Stars?
Well, you're asking good questions, which I don't. I mean, this happened since this afternoon, so it's kind of hard to put it all together.
Hey, you're the guy that's supposed to have all the answers right now, Chet. Come on.
Yeah, well, that's what I just tell my wife, but it's not true. Yeah. Imagine this, right? We got 5 or so teams in the Valley here are traditionally really strong. And can you imagine, like, you put 3 or 4 kids from Boardman and Poland and Canfield and Austintown and
super teams. I mean, they're doing the NBA. They're going to do it here in the Valley, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's what you would call a real select team, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but then so I look at it a little bit different. What would the parents be like?
Yeah, I mean, that's always one of the biggest questions at the top of every coach's and umpire's list, right? I mean, what are the parents going to be like positionally? You know what I mean? You look at that. I mean, you got to really start fighting for playing time. But I mean, this is something that happens down the road when they get to the Class B league, and they would just have to get to a little bit sooner.
And and again, I'm not trying to say that's life, but that's what life really is, right? I'm not trying to belittle it, but it's like my daughter. When my daughter moved out of the house, she bought her own house, and she came back to me one day and said, "Gee, Dad, this adult stuff really sucks.
Yeah,
And I said, welcome to my world.
that's it. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. We talked about all the playoff scenarios. You talk about the all-star teams. What is the opportunity for a regular season here, Chet? I mean, is it realistic that we can get somewhat of a regular season and then get to normalcy?
It depends on a couple factors, DJ. I think, first of all, the government and Dr. Acton is going to have to declare it's safe to go out and intermingle somewhat.
Right.
And if that happens soon, we could start July, play all of July, maybe even August, maybe a little further. Because I'll be honest with you, DJ, I'm involved with the NCAA a little bit too, right?
Sure do. Yep.
They have no clue what they're doing in the fall. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is true speculation, but I think you're going to see spring football.
Oh no! Oh, we saw that. Oh, that hurt. Yeah, that hurts baseball. I think. Huh? I think it hurts baseball.
Oh, it hurt basketball too.
It hurts everything.
And I can kind of see that because, I'm a microbiologist too, DJ, right?
So look at you. So many hats.
Huh?
So many hats you wear.
Well, they have to be big hats for my big head, right? But anyway, I hate to say this thing's coming back. It's coming back in the winter.
Yeah.
And so, what are you going to do in a football environment where you have 50 to 100 people? Imagine in a college locker room, you got one guy gets sick and transmits it to the other 80, 90 guys in the locker room, and suddenly you got real problems.
Well, you saw what happened in the NBA locker room. It didn't take long for that thing to spread. So,
That's
you're right.
Exactly right. So, we're all just going to have to cool our heels probably a little bit. I think if the weather gets good and the numbers start looking good, infection-wise, we'll be able to have a short season in the summer.
Okay, so you alluded to it a little bit earlier. The 11U champs from last year in Boardman.
Yeah.
There was a lot, and I mean a lot of people that had eyes on this team that could have possibly ended up in Williamsport. I mean, your heart goes out to them with the news that comes down today. I made some calls and text messages out to the coaches, and just because they had their eyes dead set on Williamsport. What does it mean I know you can't tell me exactly what it means because you and I aren't 12 years old and we don't know what this means. And for them, from your standpoint, I mean, what does it mean for you to have a team that could be there and just all of a sudden dissipates?
I'm heartbroken. Seriously. I mean, it's not just because it's the Boardman kids. It could be Poland. It could be Austintown. It could be any of our local leagues that have talent and they had the potential to go. And I've been there. I've been to the show in a different perspective, but the excitement and as excited as I was, it's like, it's paradise for kids. And I'm just really sad that they don't even have a shot at getting there this year. And I just don't know what to say. My heart goes out to them, especially the coaches, because I know the coaches worked really hard too, and it's probably a great disappointment to them. And it's a loss for the Valley. Okay, we have some good sports in this area, and it's nice because the area sometimes gets pounded a little bit for its reputation, but when we shine, and this would have been a time to really for the greater Youngstown area to look really good. I just feel really bad for these kids.
Yeah, it's tough.
I feel bad for all the kids, by the way. Think about high school. Those seniors who had a shot, right?
Yeah. Although, you talked about NCAA too. Those kids as well. It's a little bit different because they get extra year of eligibility. But
right.
We've talked about it on our shows here on YSN. If you're a D3 athlete, do you really want to pay the extra $40,000-$50,000 to play spring sports? There's a whole lot of questions around it. Chet, one of the last questions I have for you. What does the future hold for this year's 12U? We talked a little bit about, I mean, if you can look at your crystal ball and say, Little League's going to have to do something, or Pony League, or whatever the next league is going to have to do something to look and say, we have to give back to the 12Us at this point.
Well, here's the thing. Little League has what they call intermediate baseball.
Okay.
Which is for 12 and 13-year-olds.
Okay.
Now, the second year of this, we sent a team from Boardman to the championship game of the regional game, okay, which was in Michigan. And they lost, in the championship game because the next step was the World Series in California.
Wow.
Which I also umpired, so that's the exciting place to go, go across country to a different place. And so I think this year's 12-year-olds in Little League, they ought to consider playing intermediate level baseball. And it's on a 70-foot baseline diamond, and they're stealing and all that stuff. So it's a step up, and it's a step between the 60-foot diamond and the 90-foot diamond. Now, a lot of kids can make that jump, but some kids can't, but the teams we have, and I really think that 11U team from last year, who would have been 12 this year, if they can hang together and play intermediate baseball, they got a real shot at going to the regionals, okay, and beyond. They go and beyond. So, because I've seen those kids for a long time. They're talented kids. So, but they're probably going to be attracted to other things, like pony level or Class B level. I get that, okay. But you know me, DJ. I'm Little League tried and true, right? Nothing against pony, and certainly nothing against Class B because I umpire in that league, as you well know.
I sure do.
But there's something about Little League when you can say that I made it to the World Series or I made it to the regionals in Little League. That's something that isn't done very often. And then, of course, the television coverage. You feel like a real rock star if you get on TV, right? So
that's it.
So I think there's, and that's the other thing we'll talk about in the president's meeting over the weekend, and what can we do? And Little League, I am sure, is not going to give the this year's 12s and their shot at playing on the 60-foot diamond. I'm positive about that because these kids, they just bulk up anymore. They aren't kids like when you and I were kids.
No, they're eating their parents out of house and home right now.
Exactly. So. Yeah. I'm glad I'm past that era.
That's it. I'm still eating myself out of house at home now. But the reality is I don't burn it off like I used to. Dr. Chet Cooper, thank you so much. Huge advocate for Little League, huge advocate for YSN, and one of the best people you'll ever know. Dr. Chet Cooper, again, thanks for joining us here tonight.
Thanks, DJ. I appreciate you having me.